and welcome to Sheffield Banjo Lessons. Today's lesson is lesson 1, which is going to be about the right hand position on the banjo. Recap on how to wear the finger picks and the sitting position too. So anyone that's not checked out lesson 0, please check that one out. Anyone that has, thank you very much. Let's get going with this. We're now going to have a look at how to wear the finger and thumb picks, and we're going to use one metal thumb pick. Again, you may have plastic, that's absolutely fine. And we're going to have 2 metal finger picks, one for the index and one for the middle on our right hand. So the thumb pick's dead straight forward. It's going to go over our thumb and it's going to point down at this sort of right angle position. The finger picks are going to come with either 2 or 4 sets of adjustments that you can do to move around, and you can buy them in different sizes depending on the sort of shape and width of your fingers. So what I'm going to do is place them underneath. They are not nail extensions to go over the top. I'm going to place one on my index, one on my middle. Little tip for this, when they come off they'll be slightly different shapes because the fingers are slightly different shapes. Get a little marker pen or something and write which one is for which one, or get the idea of the shape. It saves you tweaking them around and you'll use the same one each time in that case. Okay, so when it comes to then setting the length of them, if you can see on here, they're sticking out just about half a centimetre or so, and they're going to be curving up at the end as well. That is perfect sort of position. You'll find over time whether you like them sticking out a little bit further or whether you like them a little closer. Now you want to make sure that there's something though, because the further away the harder it is to sort of hit your strings because you've got that greater distance, and the closer to your finger the more chance you've got of it scuffing the pad of your finger rather than the pick hitting the string as well. But for now, that's how we're going to be wearing our finger and thumb picks. Fundamental to all of our banjo playing is going to be our right hand position. This is something that we want to make really sturdy, really reliable and generally really comfortable. All of our picking is going to come from here, and that's going to be the real body of our play. We're going to be looking to make sure that you can set up your hand in a nice position that you can rely on, and so that it's not moving around and making it harder for you to get used to where your strings are. So to do that, the first thing I want you to do is understand the sound of your banjo a little bit. So I want you to, with your thumb pick, strum down by the bridge. You can hear that's really sort of bright and thin and tinny. And I want you to now strum at the bottom of the neck. And you can hear how that's kind of really low and dull and a bit full. So in theory then, the sweet spot is going to be bang in the middle. There we go, I like the sound of that. So that's where we're aiming for when we look at this. So all of our right hand positions are going to be slightly different depending on body mechanics. So you're going to need to just bear that in mind and know that yours will shape over time. As like you nestle into that nice sort of armchair and slouch your way into it, you find the way you like to sit. Well, we're going to find the way that we like to have our right hand position on the banjo as well. If you work to these bullet points, this is going to be the best way for you to find it, but don't worry if it just takes that little bit of time for it to sort of set in. So we're going to use this armrest now, and we're going to start putting our hand on. So we're going to just rest our forearm over, and what I want you to do is think about your thumb hitting the middle string about in that middle sweet spot for tone that we said earlier. And what we're going to do now is place a bass. Now the bass for us is going to be 1 or 2 fingers that are going to hold on the banjo. They're not pushing through the banjo to change the tone, but they're going to hold position for us so that we can kind of keep that reliable bass and let the fingers do all the playing instead. So for that, we're going to go a couple of inches on a diagonal away from the bridge, and again that's going to vary depending on the sort of size of hands you've got as well. So I'm going to start with 2 fingers. You'd need either 2 or 1, and I generally think a good way to start is put 2 on and see if you end up with 1 in the long run, and then at least you've got your bass sorted. So I'm going to go a couple of inches on a diagonal from the bridge and then I'm going to place my thumb on the middle string. You see, I'm just kind of nestling into position to make sure I've got that. Now, the motion we're going to have then with that thumb is it's going to touch the string and then it's going to pick downwards. So I did that just on strings 5, 4 and 3. Now you do the same. See if it feels like it's roughly in that right position. It wants to be again in the middle between the bridge and the neck, and you want to be touching the string. You've got your bass set, the thumb is going to touch and then pick downwards. Okay? Now, when it comes to the two fingers, this is a little bit different, and this is where I really think you need to spend the time to make sure that you get this right. What's going to originally happen is initially you're going to cover up so you can't really see what's going on, and your natural inclination is going to be to lift these fingers away. That means you're going to be swiping at the strings a little bit too much, and you're not going to have that connection that you need to make the notes sound the way you want. So I'll turn the banjo sideways again, and you can see what I'm looking to do here is with my index finger, it is going to touch that second string. So counting from the bottom, string 1, string 2, we're going to get it to touch that. Now, you might be able to see there's a slight arch in my hand, and what I can do with my index finger is I can touch the string, and then from ideally the first knuckle, but the second knuckle's fine, I'm going to touch it and I'm going to play towards the center of my hand. If you see that. So what I mean by that is I'm not pulling away where I don't get the body of the note and I get some scratching sounds. I'm going to touch the string and I'm going to play from my knuckle towards the center of the hand. And then I'm just going to repeat the motion for the middle finger. It's going to touch string number 1, so the lowest one, and you're going to touch it, and then you're going to use that second knuckle if you can, or the first knuckle, whichever way you can get it, but from the knuckle, and you're going to be playing towards the center of the hand. The idea is that all your fingers and your thumb should be able to play towards the middle of your hand, towards the center of your hand, without catching each other. And what you don't want is something where they're flailing around and trying to get away from each other like this. You see, they're moving all over the place if you do that, and then you can't rely on them where they are. And again, this will take a little while for you to get settled in with this, but I'll recap it now for you. You're going to reach over a couple of inches from the corner of the bridge. You're going to place a bass down, ideally with 2 fingers or with 1, whichever works for you. You're going to make sure your thumb can touch the middle of the middle string, and then you can bring in your index and your middle finger to touch the other 2. And that can be your your grip, we'll call it. Now, a really good way I heard this explained was actually, if you look in the center of your hand now, you should be able to put something like an egg in the inside of your hand, and it's not so tight it's going to crush it, but it's not so loose it's going to drop it. And that's the sort of position we want. The last bit I want to look at is the wrist. So if I straighten up, you can maybe see I've got a little bit of an arch in my wrist, and that's what we want. It gives it the break and it gives it the angle for our fingers to play that way towards our hand. But the thing I want you to look for is that you don't want something that's too arched, because that's going to put a lot of strain on the tendons and make it painful. And the other thing that's really tricky as well is you want to make sure it's not too flat, because that will also put a lot of strain down the back of your hand, and it's going to kind of hurt you over time. So again, with this, it is kind of the fundamental thing to be looking to get right. So let's cover it one more time in a bit of a slow motion recap. We've got the banjo, we've got our sweet spot for tone, which is down the middle, and we want to rest our arm so that our thumb is going to play naturally down the middle of the top 3 strings, strings 3, 4 and 5. We're going to have a bass which will be 1 finger or 2 on an angle a couple of inches away. You're then going to place your thumb down and you're going to allow your index finger to curl round and touch string 2 and your middle finger to curl round and touch string 1. So they're touching the bottom 3 strings as you look down from where you are to the bottom of the banjo. You can grip those so you can touch the strings, and then you can ease off about 1 centimetre or so, and then that's a really good sort of starting position. Maybe just a little bit less than 1 centimetre if you can, and then when you're playing the strings, touch the string and play down if it's the thumb, touch the string and play towards the centre of your hand from the first to second knuckle for your fingers. Again, we'll turn sideways. We'll take a look at that. So you can see, I'm going to take my grip So now hit pause and give that a go yourself. Make sure you spend a bit of time getting it. Don't worry about shuffling back into position. You'll find it, like I say, gradually over time. As long as you're aiming for the right position every time, you will honestly find that it comes to you. And then try and be diligent with that and really just try and bring those fingers back in every time they'll feel like they're going too far out or if you're getting that scraping sound. And if you have any questions, chuck them in the comments and let me know. Taking a look at the sitting position for the banjo, it's pretty straightforward really. Ideally use something like a dining room chair so that you can get a nice straight set of angles as opposed to slouching in your sofa and getting a little bit achy with the weight of the instrument. So with that, sit up nice and straight if you can, and then try and keep the banjo set on your lap, and your legs just want to be out at a right angle to the floor, and that's pretty much it really. You'll probably end up slouching in your own sofa as I do here and there, but at least if you know that's the nice position so that you can be in a good, solid, nice, fundamentally sound position to be learning the banjo. So now you have a nice solid bass and a solid grip and right hand position for when you're playing the banjo. Let's look at putting that in action now properly, and we're going to move on to the next lesson, which is going to be learning your first roll. So let's get going.